For Complex News, I'm Hanuman Welch, and holy shit, it's finally here. The first full-length trailer for the final season of Game of Thrones has arrived, and shit looks bleak for the citizens of Westeros. With April 14th a little over a month away, fans got their best look yet at how HBO plans to wrap up their near decade-long franchise.
They're coming. Our enemy doesn't tire, doesn't stop, doesn't feel.
The new trailer comes a day after Entertainment Weekly unleashed a massive feature documenting the making of the final season, complete with what is said to be the most expensive battle ever filmed in television history, dwarfing Season 6's Battle of the Bastards. The Battle of Winterfell will be immense, and naturally, not everyone is gonna make it. That being said, let's dive into the new footage and piece together where we're heading into the final season of Game of Thrones. The new trailer opens with Arya Stark visibly shook, looking frightened and crying while breathing heavily and running through the halls of what we assume is Winterfell. Now, Season 7 finally found Arya returned with her sister Sansa and doling out a very long time coming revenge on Littlefinger. But the new footage also finds Arya calmly looking forward to whatever fate has in store for her with this line.
I know death. He's got many faces. I look forward to seeing this one.
We also get a nice shot of Varys apparently holding up with the women and children of Winterfell during the siege, drawing a nice parallel to Cersei when she was barricaded behind the walls of King's Landing during the raid of Stannis Baratheon at the Battle of the Blackwater way back in Season 2. Our guess is that an enemy, either living or dead, makes it behind the walls of Winterfell and Arya is doing her best to stay alive to the end of the season, or maybe the crypts underneath Winterfell have come to life. And enemies are everywhere in this new footage. This image is potentially one of the Golden Company, the famed mercenaries from Essos who seem to be getting a lift aboard Greyjoy battleships. Now remember how Cersei told Jamie that she planned to defeat the army in the north? It was with the mercenaries from Essos. At the end of Season 7, Cersei commanded Euron Greyjoy to recruit a group of mercenaries known as the Golden Company, sellswords who have built a reputation on never breaking a contract, led by a mercenary named Harry Strickland. Yes, of course, that does look like Jamie Lannister from the back, but that's intentional. But trust, this is Cersei's ace up her sleeve. If the Night King's army in the north doesn't finish off the assembled forces, the Golden Company are the Queen's insurance policy. And let's check in with Cersei in this new trailer. We first see her smirking as her Hand of the Queen Qyburn stands nearby with the zombified mountain and her now fully gothed out retinue of black armored Queensguard. Does this mean that Cersei has been necromancing an elite royal guard? I hope so. It would make for a showdown of man-made undead knights versus an army of undead walkers, can't miss. In a move that's unusual for HBO since they're usually more tight-lipped about these sort of things, the new trailer reveals that 3 characters who appeared doom in the Season 7 finale, Tormund Giantsbane, acting Lord Commander of the Night's Watch Dolorous Edd, and Lord Beric Dondarrion all survived the battle at Eastwatch when the Night King and his newly made Ice Dragon toppled the wall. How they survived? I'm guessing a lot of stabbing, but it's still to be determined. The fact is that they made it out alive and have now been confirmed in the battle. What we do know is that Beric does have the ability to come back from the dead, and smart money is, just a hunch, he sacrifices what remains of his life in order to bring back a fallen Jon Snow back from a second death. And look who else has made it to Season 8, Gendry. One of Robert Baratheon's bastards, Gendry can be seen doing what he does best, forging new weapons for the war to come. Now we know that Jon and Daenerys have a surplus of dragonglass following the end of Season 7, but it's also been hinted that Gendry could be forging new Valyrian steel weapons. Dragonglass and Valyrian steel are 2 of the only weapons that can give the army of the living at least somewhat of a fighting chance. In the books, it's Gendry's mentor, Tobo Mott, who we briefly met in the first 2 seasons, that was one of the only living blacksmiths that's able to either forge or rework the scarce steel. And Gendry isn't the only one making his way back for the final battle. Podrick is seen standing shoulder to shoulder with Brienne of Tarth, and the Hound has returned as well. As for Jamie Lannister, the man known throughout the land as the Kingslayer, stood by his sister through most of the series, and Season 7 ended with him walking away from her when she revealed that despite giving her word, she didn't actually plan to send forces to the north and fight the Great War against the White Walkers and their undead army. In the trailer, Jamie delivers this line to remind everyone where exactly he stands heading into the final battle.
I promise to fight for the living. I intend to keep that promise.
And let's not forget that Season 7 ended with Cersei telling Jamie that she was pregnant with another one of his kids. Now, if Cersei is pregnant, then perhaps the pregnancy will play a role in fulfilling the popular prophecy of the Valonqar. In one of the show's few flashbacks, a witch tells a young Cersei about her future. Maggie the Frog says that Cersei will marry the king, not a prince, that another younger, more beautiful queen will take all that is dear to Cersei, and that Cersei will bear 3 children, all of whom will die. Gold will be their crowns, gold their shrouds. Now, the creators of the show left an important part of the prophecy out of that scene, presumably so as not to spoil Cersei's death. In the books, Maggie ends the prophecy with, quote, "And when your tears have drowned you, the Valonqar shall wrap his hands about your pale white throat and choke the life from you." Now, Valonqar means little brother in High Valyrian, and in the books, Cersei assumes it's Tyrion who will kill her. But many fans have theorized that it is in fact Jamie, born seconds after Cersei, who will be the one to kill his twin. Throughout the show, Cersei has consistently misinterpreted this prophecy, and in trying to escape her fate, has accidentally fulfilled it. And finally, Jon and Daenerys, kissing cousins as they may be, are the glue holding this whole thing together. Dany's army of the Unsullied arrives at Winterfell, hopefully to get outfitted with dragonglass weapons and armor, and for the first time since season 1, Jon visits Winterfell's weirwood tree. The big question here is how early into the final season will Jon Snow discover he's actually a Targaryen like Daenerys? He's got to at least be suspicious following his meeting of Drogon last season. The dragon was nicer to him than most, indicating that the scaly beast knew something about his ancestry. Dany lost one of her 3 dragons when the Night King killed Viserion and turned him into an ice dragon, but Drogon and Rhaegal are still very much on deck.
They're coming.
Is Jon going to ride a dragon? You're goddamn right he is. Which wouldn't be a first for Dany, but for Jon, it would be the fulfillment of his family destiny. Now, when the White Walkers make it to Winterfell, the Kingdom of the Dead, first seen in the Night King's first appearance in Season 4's episode Oathkeeper, will be unguarded. Wild speculation here, since the dragons have essentially become the Game of Thrones equivalent to fast travel, perhaps there's a weapon that they can snatch that will either defeat the army of the dead, while the Night King is trying to take Winterfell in entirety. One thing we do know is that one of your favorites isn't gonna make it, as the Battle of Winterfell is expected to be the longest consecutive battle sequence ever committed to film, and brings the largest number of Game of Thrones major characters together since the show's debut back on the first episode in 2011. April 14th will be here before you know it. Sound off in the comments with your best theories of who's gonna make the cut and who's not gonna make it out alive. That's all for now. For everything else, subscribe to Complex on YouTube. For Complex News, I'm Hanuman Welch.